الله وبركاته. ما شاء الله. Settle down, settle down. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم صل على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. First and foremost, mashallah, it's good to be back. I'm glad to see everyone, alhamdulillah. Glad to see the number, mashallah. It's very good, very blessed, alhamdulillah. Inshallah, I'll just cover today, because I noticed when I was at Salat al-Jum'ah today, there weren't many youth. And my father who did the khutbah, he talked about a very important topic of good character, having good character. And I would just like to rephrase, reiterate some of those points that he made. And inshallah, obviously this halaqah is aimed toward the youth, inshallah, so the objective is to give this reminder to the youth as well, of having good character and having good manners, inshallah. So I'm going to start off with the video. We'll start off with the video today, and then I'll give my little reflection, inshallah, and then we'll have Sheikh Omar at the end give his reflection, inshallah. So I'm going to start off, it's just a recitation of a few ayat in the Quran that we're all familiar with.
So many people over there.
Alright, we can have someone turn off the lights, inshallah. So, again, this is Surah Al-Qari'ah. We're all very familiar with it, alhamdulillah, but it has some very, very strong, powerful verses and powerful words Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tries to get a meaning sent across. And I'll just focus on the last couple of verses in the surah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, فَأَمَّا مَنْ ثَقُلَتْ مَوَازِينُهُ. Then as for the one whose scales are heavy with good deeds, فَهُوَ فِي عِيشَةٍ رَاضِيَةٍ. He will be in a pleasant life. وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَفَّتْ مَوَازِينُهُ. But as for the one whose scales are light, as in light and good deeds, فَأُمُّهُ هَاوِيَةٍ. His refuge will be an abyss, or like a bottomless depth. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا هِيَ. And what can make you know what that is? نَارٌ حَامِيَةٌ. It is a blazing fire. Subhanallah. So again, this is going back, the khutbah, subhanAllah, the focus of it was good character and good morals, attaining good manners. And subhanAllah, it just goes to show on the Day of Judgment what the importance is going to be on good manners and good deeds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has emphasized the importance of having good deeds and good character. For on the Day of Judgment, the heaviest things on your scale that are going to be on your good side are going to be the good deeds that you do, the good manners that you have, the good character that you show. So if you have a good character in this life, and if you do good deeds, then on the Day of Judgment, those is what's going to count, and those are what's going to make the right side of your scale in favor towards inshallah Jannah. But if you were doing bad deeds, or if you did not do enough good deeds, then the other side of the scale could be more heavier. So subhanAllah, just going to show the importance of having good deeds and good character. And obviously there were a lot of hadith mentioned of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his character. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. And indeed you are of great moral character. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sent us Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as what? He sent us as an example. He sent him as an example for us to follow, because he is, as Aisha radiallahu anha said, the walking Quran. As the Quran says he would do. So again, what my father mentioned earlier in the khutbah about how Rasulullah was the walking Quran. Everything that's mentioned in the Quran of sincerity and being good to others and all that, which is mentioned in the Quran, Rasulullah was that in living life. He was practicing it on a day-to-day basis. So why was he doing it? Rasulullah, he was doing it to show us. He was there as an example for us to be the ones to do good deeds, to show that we need to have good character. And subhanAllah, I know I've talked about having good character in the past a couple of times and a good bit of halaqas. But it's always something I like to go back to because it's really important for us to try to be the best people that we can be, for us to not be harmful towards others, for us to be forgiving to others. So subhanAllah, I know a lot of times tempers can become short and we can become angry really fast, but Rasulullah, if you read through his seerah and you read through the ahadith, he would preach against that. As of course they have many ahadith in which he was talking about, do not become angry, or do not become in a state that will lead you to anger. And if subhanAllah you were in a state of anger, what are the ways to get out of it? Doing wudu, or if you're angry, standing up, then sit down. If you're angry, sitting down, then lay down. SubhanAllah, many examples. Like he SubhanAllah just provided like the perfect handbook. If you want to see some sort of handbook of how to be a good person, how to have good manners, and how to have good character, it's looking at the seerah of Rasulullah, studying his life and studying what he did. And SubhanAllah, I remember just the last time I talked about good character a while ago, there was 2 points that the Shaykh in the video he made, and 2 traits that if you had, will lead you to having good character. And that's one of them was deal with people the way you love the Lord of the people to deal with you. In other words, if someone has harmed you, think what you're going to do to them as if what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do to you. In other words, after they harmed you, do you want to harm them back? Or do you want to forgive them just like how you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you? So it's just something to think about in that aspect. So the second one, deal with people the way you love people to deal with you. So this is that counterbalance thing. Someone harms you, do you harm them back? Do you treat them back just the way they treat you exactly? Or do you be the better man? Do you be the man that will humble himself and will forgive the other person? So SubhanAllah, just many examples, and of course the hadith would go on and on, especially I noticed in the Tirmidhi, there's a lot of hadith where Rasulullah talks about his character and his good manners, and as mentioned as well in the khutbah to Jum'ah earlier, that the person who has good manners and the person who has a lot of good deeds, that person has more weight than the person who pray Qiyam all night and would fast all day. So SubhanAllah, I mean, it's the little things that we do. It's the little things that on the Day of Judgment are going to count towards so much. So if you go outside, and I remember mentioning this last time, you pick up a piece of trash that's on the floor, or you remove something that could harm somebody out of the way, and you've just performed that kind of a good deed. On the Day of Judgment, you're not going to realize how much benefit that has until you look at it and you go, SubhanAllah, I'm so happy that I did that small thing that day. SubhanAllah, I was so happy that I forgave that person for what he said about me that time. I'm so happy that for that person who hit me or whatever that he may have done that hurt you, that you forgave them in that time. On the Day of Judgment, it's those kinds of deeds that are going to have really heavy weight. And it's those kind of deeds that will carry a person to a higher level in Jannah. So we have to always think through ourselves, again, on a day-to-day basis, especially youth. We go to school, a lot of things happen in school that a person with good character, would be, it'd be an amazing thing to have. For a lot of things get said at school, some things that are not so good, some others that could be good, you deal with bullies or these kind of things, people that talk about Islam and those kinds of things. How do we deal with that? So on a day-to-day basis, for each and every one of us, we have to think, how can I attain the character of Rasulullah? How can I be as best as I can, as close as I can be to him? And as well as mentioned in the khutbah, on the Day of Judgment, those who will be the closest to Rasulullah are going to be those who have good deeds, good character. So it's the small things. Again, it's not me telling you go memorize the Quran. It's not me telling you go memorize all the hadith in Sahih Bukhari. It's doing the small things. It's doing the small good things. It's being nice to your parents. It's being nice to your friends. It's being nice to even Muslims and non-Muslims that you do not know. Be the walking person. Try to be your best. As Muslims, we're all here to try to represent what Rasulullah was representing. We try to be as best as we can be with him. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst all those who have good character and to express good deeds in every aspect of our life, inshallah. And I know everyone's waiting for Sheikh Omar, inshallah, to say a few words, so we'll have him come, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulih al-kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. What are we talking about on this one? Actually, subhanAllah, I'll take it from where Belal left off, but at the same time, I just actually came back from a life-changing experience. And I think that's something that I want to reflect on. It's related to the topic, but at the same time, I think it's something especially that we can take benefit from, especially as youth. Now, some of you guys give me, what do you think the components of happiness are? Not from an Islamic perspective, from a totally psychological perspective. What are the components of happiness? Yeah.
Having meaning in your life.
Having meaning in your life? Okay. What else? I'm going to tell you if you're right or wrong. That's right. From a purely non-Islamic perspective, but it's also Islamic, but if you were to open a book on how to attain happiness in life, what would you find there?
Being successful.
Success in what?
Your business.
Success in your business? Okay. What else?
Having a good night's sleep.
Good night's sleep? I don't know about that. The Prophet ﷺ never got a good night's sleep. MashaAllah, we don't all get to sleep like the brother. What's that? Nice kids, good kids. MashaAllah. Where's Slay, by the way? Is he here? Oh, there you go. Like, what else? Huh? Thankfulness. Gratitude. Okay. What else? Like, I was reading a book on my way. I just came back from the UK actually. I haven't been in America for a very long time. So I was on the way to the UK. I was reading a book called Addison's Principles of Happiness. It was given to me as a gift by someone a long time ago, and I figured that it would be a good time to read it. And subhanAllah, it was very interesting because everything was Islamic in and of itself, right? And he said there are three components of happiness. There are only three components of happiness, and if a person has these three components in their life, they will never be unhappy. And it's unbelievable. Now it's very simple. Something to do, okay? Something to do, something to love, and something to look forward to. SubhanAllah, you see how simple it is? Something to do, something to love, and something to look forward to. If you apply that from an Islam, and subhanAllah, what he was doing basically, the first half of the book is refuting our misconceptions about what happiness truly is. So usually when people talk about happiness, we talk about wealth, right? But the fact of the matter is that there are people who don't have much wealth, but they're a lot happier than people who have millions and millions of dollars, right? So he refutes that principle that you need money to be happy. He also refutes this idea, and I think this is a common idea that we even have as Muslims, that something to love becomes someone to love, that we need friends around us in order to be happy, that you need people to be happy. And he says that's also a false concept, right? And he says that something to look forward to, he says what happens is that when people go into something too fast, whenever people achieve their goals too fast, from a worldly perspective, from a materialistic perspective, they get bored of life, And then they end up becoming miserable because they realize there's nothing to look forward to. Now let's take this from an Islamic perspective. I'm going to mention to you, wallahi, one of the most life-changing experiences I ever had just a few days ago. It was as powerful to me as Hajj, meeting one person, meeting one human being, this time in the UK. Let's look at this from an Islamic perspective. Something to do. As a Muslim, when you look at the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba and the Salaf, they always were productive. There was no such thing as being unproductive. Either they were seeking knowledge, either they were in dhikr, either they were, they were remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, either they were traveling, either they were in jihad, whatever it is, they were in da'wah, something, they were always productive and they never ran out of things to do. You never heard one of the Sahaba saying, I'm bored. Those words never came out of their mouths, right? And boredom is something that we all know can be very, very, can really kill a person. SubhanAllah, boredom is something that you really, it's funny because something to do. A lot of times the goal of someone that you meet outside, you'll find a youth, for example, who will say that my goal is to get rich by the age of 25, and usually, like in your age, teenagers and early college students, this is when you get caught up in pyramid schemes and marketing schemes and commission-based things and marketing stuff where you've been promised by someone that you're going to get rich by the age of 25 or 30, and then you'll be able to retire. And everyone wants to retire as fast as they can, right? My goal is to retire. My goal is to have nothing to do. My goal is to lay back and let my money make money and let everyone else do my work for me. What happens when people actually retire? They get bored. They don't like sitting at home. It's nice to sit in bed for one day, right? It's nice to relax and cut everybody off for one day. But you know what? A week or two, 3 weeks, a month, it gets old. SubhanAllah. And so you see people, when they retire, they get bored. So they start trying to give work to themselves, right? Because it's boring. I don't want to sit around and have nothing to do. But Islam gives you something to always do, right? You always have goals in Islam, and you will never reach those goals because the character that you're trying to emulate in your life is whose character? The Prophet ﷺ. And there is no human way for any of us to attain his character ﷺ completely. So you're always running behind him. You're always recognizing that, I've got more to do. I'm deficient in this aspect. If I've memorized more Quran, I need to memorize more Hadith. If I've learned enough, I need to teach more, right? If I've given, if I haven't given enough charity, now's the time to give charity. I have some more money, right? If I haven't traveled or done, you start finding things to do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens doors for you because you never get bored. Imam Hassan al-Basri, rahimahullah, he was talking about people who say that they want to kill time, right? And he says, he said, as for the people that say that they want to kill time, فَمَتَى أَصْبَحَ الْوَقْتِ عَدُوَّكَ حَتَّى تَسْعَى فِي قَتْلَ. When did time become your enemy that you should seek to kill it? Right? Killing time is for people who have no meaning in life. It's for people who have no purpose. And you get bored. And when you run out of things to do, that's whenever you lose something to do. So a component of happiness is lacking there. So retirement's not going to work. Right? Or getting rich quick enough that I can lay back is not going to actually make you happy. Because as long as you're not productive and you live a meaningless life, you will not be happy. But when you have meaning and you're chasing the goal of following in the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ as much as possible, you never run out. How many of you have ever heard the name of Imam Nawawi rahimahullah? Nawawi? Right? The 40 hadith that we did here so many times, Riyadh al-Salihin that we do so many times, right? So he wrote books in hadith, he wrote the sharh, the explanation of Sahih Muslim, he wrote books in fiqh, reliance of a traveler and things, pioneer and everything. When you think of a person like that, you think of a guy with a great beard, who's sitting around who, subhanAllah, was, probably spent 50, 60 years learning in his life and then started writing books, and then died at the age of 80. Imam Nawawi rahimahullah died when he was 36 years old. The guy never even saw 40. At 36, in our time, you're just starting to figure out what you're trying to do. SubhanAllah, you're just starting to gain some kind of direction. You're just starting a family life. Okay, where do I go now? And Imam Nawawi, who has, is probably, you could argue the most productive in terms of writing, after the tabi'een. This guy died when he was 36 years old, and look what he was able to accomplish, because he never ran out of stuff to do. He was always productive, having something to do. When you have meaning, when you have purpose, when you have the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and you're trying to emulate that perfect and spotless character of the Prophet ﷺ, and you'll never be able to do so, you always have stuff to do. I need to memorize more Quran. What is my excuse for not being a hafiz? What is my excuse for not reading the entire books of hadith, the 6 books at least one time in my life, right? What is my excuse for not reading, some basic books of fiqh in my life? What is my excuse for not praying qiyam al-layl? At least 2 rak'ahs or something like that. What is my excuse for not doing this? You'll never run out of things to do. And that's, a lot of times that's what happens. People run out of things to do. They get lonely, they feel unproductive, they feel lazy, and they die miserable deaths. SubhanAllah. One of my shuyukh, and this is, I mentioned Sheikh Omar al-Ashqar. His name is Omar Suleiman al-Ashqar, but I don't want to say that because people think that I'm trying to make a comparison. There's no comparison. MashaAllah, one of the greatest fuqaha I've ever met. I saw him in Jordan this time. He's in his 80s, and I actually got to go to his house because he's not allowed to do halaqas in the masjid anymore, and the masajid is over there anymore in his area, but he has some halaqas in his home. And subhanAllah, all day long, the guy's in his 80s, he receives guests coming from all over the world to ask him questions. Right? And I remember his son, whose name is Suleiman ibn Omar Suleiman ibn Omar ibn Suleiman, and he named his son Omar Suleiman too, by the way. I'm just saying. It's because everybody always likes to compare me to the Egyptian former vice president guy. So these are good guys, right? And subhanAllah, while we were there, I was there with my father-in-law and things of that sort. It was like 11 o'clock at night. He was telling me you should go to sleep. And his father said something. Sheikh Omar al-Ashqar said something that was very powerful. He said it as sort of like a joke, and it was just, he probably says it a million times, but it meant so much to me. He said, if I sleep now, I don't know when I'll wake up. Right? We don't have time to sleep. SubhanAllah, we don't have time to sleep. It's unbelievable, right? Being productive. The second thing was what? So the first thing is something to do. I'm giving you guys really a simple equation. What's the second thing? Something to love. Something to love. لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةً. For those who excel, remember something to do is al-husna, which is Jannah, wa ziyada, and even more. Right? What is ziyada? What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this in the Quran. What could be better than Jannah? So you've got something to do, right? But what could be better than Jannah? And the Sahaba asked the Prophet ﷺ, what could be more than Jannah? What is ziyada? What is on top of Jannah? What's extra in Jannah? And the Prophet ﷺ said, النَّظْرُ إِلَى وَجْهِ اللَّهِ, to be able to see and look and stare at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's face. SubhanAllah. Why? Because when you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that drives you, and nothing else is needed to drive you at that point. SubhanAllah, you could be alone and you could have no supporters, you could have no creation around you, and at the end of the day, you're still happy because you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There were Sahaba who died alone. Abu Dhar al-Ghifari radiallahu anhu, one of the greatest companions ever to walk the face of the earth. When he died, he was so isolated from the people that his wife had to go and hold his body outside, hoping that some travelers would pass by and see his body so they could perform janazah and pray on him. He's happy. Why? He's alone. He can remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you have Allah in your life, you don't need anybody else. And it's interesting because subhanAllah, we go out searching for love. We go out searching for approval. We go out searching for people, for human beings who have flaws just like us, for human beings who have desires just like us, for human beings who have goals just like us, for human beings, if it comes down to it, if their desires or if what they're pursuing contradicts what I'm pursuing, they're not going to have time for you anymore. We go out chasing for the approval of people, chasing for the approval of our culture, right? Trying to maintain the status in our culture, status quo in our culture, trying to make sure nobody around us looks down upon us, trying to make sure this person's happy with me, and this person's happy with me, and this person's happy with me, and you will never be able to gain or satisfy that something to love, because at the end of the day, that person might stab you in the back, right? And to be betrayed by a close friend, it's really painful, right? Something you invest yourself into emotionally. Many times, look, everyone in here, I'm telling you from right now, including myself, you might most probably, unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes our lives early, you're going to find someone in your life that you trusted and you loved who's going to stab you in the back. It happens so many times. So many times. It might even be a scholar or a sheikh or a teacher or something like that. It could be anybody. It might be the person that was the highest in your eyes. That person might stab you in the back. And if you depended on that person's approval and love and on that relationship, it's going to tear you to pieces. Even your own family members, they might hurt you because people get selfish sometimes. And at the end of the day, sometimes people's selfishness causes them to be very inconsiderate. And that could hurt you if you invested yourself too much into that. And even in terms of halal things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says your money, your wealth, and your spouses, your families could be enemies to you. Aduwwun lakum. Right? They could be enemies to you. SubhanAllah. Not in the sense that not even in fighting, but they could distract you and things of that sort. And at the end of the day, you could be investing yourself into something that's futile, that means nothing at the end of the day. But when you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has anyone ever loved Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and felt like Allah didn't love them back? Right? Or felt like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was closing the doors on them? Or felt like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was not giving them anything in their lives? Or felt like they weren't excelling or getting better in their ibadah and things of that sort? No. Allah does not turn away anyone. Imam Omar rahimahullah ta'ala, he wrote once about a dream, and it's narrated in Lu'lu al-Manthur, about a man who was disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for 40, 50 years, right? And whenever he wanted to make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he asked Imam Omar rahimahullah, he said, look, my hair is great. I've been disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all this time. I've been guilty of shirk al-mahabba, which is to love someone like I should love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why would Allah accept me now? Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love me now? And he saw a dream that night. That man saw a dream that night. And he saw himself in a youthful look, right? Without his gray hair and things of that sort. And it was being said to him, is there anyone who came to our door and we turned him away? Is there anyone who ever came to the door of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah kicked him away and turned him away? Never happens. Never happens. When you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need no one. You need absolutely no one in your life. Right? Something to love. And essentially what you have in this life, sometimes people get so greedy. Sometimes people start, they have something to do. They have something to look forward to. They're very successful in this life, but they don't have that emotional component. Right? Because usually on your way to success, you become greedy. People stop liking you. They only like you for your money. Right? When people get famous, everybody goes, tries to get around them and things of that sort. People only like them for what they have, but they don't actually have that love, that strong relationship. They can't even distinguish who's really there for them and who's not. Their kids only love them because they want to inherit from them and stuff like that. This is what happens. This is our modern day reality, and this is not the exception. This is the norm. Usually, even when you become successful, you lose all your friends in the process, and everyone around you loves you for superficial reasons. They don't actually love you. So you lose that. You still feel empty on the inside. And the minute that you lose your stuff, everyone's going to flee from you. But when you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your life, everything is good. Everything is good. The third thing was what? Something to look forward to. How many times do we have celebrities and people who got very, very rich in this world, who had goals, and once they attained their goals, they realized it wasn't all that. It wasn't all that special. It wasn't what it was made out to be. I was supposed to be happy now, right? I was supposed to be happy now that I have money. I was supposed to be happy now that I bought a house. I was supposed to be happy now that I have a family. I was supposed to be happy now. And then they realized that it wasn't what it was all made out to be. And people achieve, the height of their success, and then they commit suicide. Why do they commit suicide? SubhanAllah, everything is increasing in this world. Wealth is increasing, right? Especially in our society, in the West. People, technology is on the increase, is advancing, right? Everything is advancing except for people's happiness. And Rasulullah said that one of the signs of the Day of Judgment is that a person would walk by the grave and he would point to the grave and he would say, I wish I was in that person's place, right? How many times do we see celebrities kill themselves? celebrities, athletes, famous people, people who achieved so much. It's a simple equation. Why? They had nothing to look forward to anymore. They ran out of goals. Their goal was to get rich. Their goal was to get famous. Their goal, if they were men, was to have many beautiful women. Right? Their goal was this, their goal was that. But they ran out of things to look forward to. One drug led to another drug, led to another drug, led to another drug, led to another drug, until you know what? Life is absolutely pointless and worthless. Do you not understand how blessed we are that we have a Jannah to look forward to, inshallah? That if no one ever appreciates you in this life, and you don't achieve wealth in this life, or success in your job, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbids you from having children, or you lose children, or you lose your spouse, or you lose your parents, or something really bad happens to you, your life hasn't ended yet. You still have something to look forward to. Right? As long as you believe in Jannah. And if you believe in Jannah, you don't lose hope. You don't lose enthusiasm. Right? Because you can never increase enough in Al-Jannah. Right? Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, if I have one foot in Jannah, I will not be satisfied until the other one's in there too. Looking forward to it. Increasing our darajat. Right? How much higher can I get in Jannah? You know, I don't want to just get in. I don't want to be with the Prophet ﷺ in Jannah al-Firdaus. Having high aspirations. You never run out of things to look forward to because you've got Jannah waiting for you. You haven't even seen that yet. None of us have seen it yet. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared it in a way that there's absolutely no pitfall. There's absolutely no disappointment once you get there, inshallah. So once we get there, it's all good. SubhanAllah, these three things, so simple, right? From a non-Muslim perspective, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned them in the Quran. وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. Rush to the forgiveness of your Lord. Rush, something to do. مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ, the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَجَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا كَعَرْضِ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ. While I was reading the book, that's the ayah that came in my mind. All of these three things in one ayah. And we think we're so smart because we're pulling out all of these things now in scientific studies and statistical studies. It was all in the Quran a long time ago. SubhanAllah. Because every person who has those three components can still find happiness. Right? Every person who still has something to do, something to love, something to look forward to, still has happiness. If you lose sight of any one of those three things, you will be miserable in this life and most likely you'll be miserable in the next life too. Because usually if you fail in one, you'll start failing in the other two too. Because once a person loses hope, then he loses love and he stops being productive. Once a person stops being productive, his goals become out of sight and he loses his love because he hasn't been working on his relationships. Right? Once a person loses love, hope goes away, he doesn't feel like working anymore. But if you have those three things, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا كَعَرْضِ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Rush to the forgiveness of your Lord and to a Jannah that is as vast as the heavens and the earth and has been prepared for the muttaqeen. Then, just to summarize it, Belal was talking about what? Character. الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. Those who give charity in hardship and in ease. They give charity in hardship too because they're not concerned what people think about them. They have a different standard. They have something more to love, which is Allah, and they have something more to look forward to, which is Jannah. They swallow their anger. They don't care if other people think they should get angry, and other people are going to say, you don't have a spine, you don't have a backbone, why didn't you defend yourself? I want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be merciful with me, so I'm going to be merciful with other people. And they forgive other people, and they pardon other people because they want Allah to pardon them on the Day of Judgment. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us His maghfirah, inshallah, to grant us ihsan, to grant us taqwa, to grant us this pursuit, inshallah ta'ala, and to allow us to enter al-Jannah al-Firdaus, inshallah ta'ala. Allahumma ameen, jazakumullah khair. Hafiz Zayd, do you want to say anything, inshallah? Barakallah feekum. Jazakumullah khair.